Hi, everyone. In this week's video, what I want to share with you is a quick tip on how you can make a slight tweak or modification to your team meetings, and if you have direct reports, to your one-on-one meetings with them to foster a culture of inclusivity. What I often hear during my coaching engagements with clients, with managers, with leaders, is that when they're having their team meetings or when they're having their one-on-one meetings, that everything can be very task oriented. So we get into the habit of having status meetings and really being very goal and project oriented to know what's going on and what's next. And that's all great. But what we sometimes forget about is the people. And these days in the workplace, with the levels of disengagement really being at record highs, with companies losing individuals, the morale is low. I see this every time I'm going in to do a training right now, is, we underestimate almost the impact that the past couple of years have had on the workforce, on our people. And so one modification and suggestion that I often give to leaders today is, how can we incorporate this idea of having wellness checks in our team meetings and in our one-on-one meetings? How can we make these team meetings and these one-on-ones more relationship oriented and focused, where the way that we ask questions and the way that we engage with people is really about reinforcing the bonds, the relationships, being empathetic, understanding what people are going through, being that place that they can lean on for support. So let me give you a couple of ways in which I've been suggesting to individuals on how they can do this. So if you're doing it at team meetings, the first time you might be able to leave things with a very open-ended question, like asking people how they're doing. But that can also be something where, you get crickets and nobody wants to volunteer how they're doing. So I always suggest, how can you make it into some kind of activity that engages individuals? So one way that I've done that is to say, okay, we're going to go around and share a rose, a bud, and a thorn. So a rose is something that right now the individual might be really proud of, an accomplishment, something that they're thriving at. A thorn is something that they're being challenged by, and a bud might be something that they're pondering, something that they're discovering. So if you go around the room and everyone has quickly an opportunity to share that, it's a quick icebreaker that allows you to hear, as the leader or even as a peer member of the group, what everybody's thinking and feeling. And it just allows people to bond and come together as human beings. That's one way. I've also asked people, bring to the team meeting a picture or an item that represents what you're thinking or going through or feeling. You can phrase it in any which way, but I think you get the idea of how can you make it into an activity that everyone participates in, that people can feel like you're fostering that inclusivity, but also giving people and creating the space for people to be vulnerable, so that these team meetings aren't just about the projects and the tasks and the to-dos that everyone is already doing and knows that they have to do. How can we really be a little bit more people and relationship oriented? And what I say to those who have direct reports, when you're in your one-on-one meetings and you have an opportunity to go deeper with individuals, that you make sure that whatever you're asking them, that you're remembering and following up next time that you're having that one-on-one meeting with them. Because obviously in a one-on-one setting, there's an opportunity to go deeper and really allow that person to share more. But if we're not really listening to their responses and we're not following up, then we're not really demonstrating, one, our listening skills and our ability to be empathetic and compassionate to whatever's going on. And really, that's a coaching and development opportunity. So how can we make our one-on-one meetings more of that developmental piece and relationship building. So that's my tip for today. Given everything that people are going through, this is an aspect that sometimes we don't think we have time for, but that is so important to incorporate, again, to move the culture that's happening within our organizations, to create that engagement, to create those relationships. And if you have other ideas or other ways in which you're using activities to make this more creative for your teams, then I invite you to share them in the comments below.